Are you considering colour coding your buckets and attachments, but you're unsure of the best option? In this video, we're going to go over the top 4 colour coding recommendations. If you're in plant hire, you've probably experienced this before, where you go to site and you go to pick up a machine that's been off-hired, and you come back and you take off the machine and the buckets are completely different to the ones that you'd sent the machine out with. This seriously affects your downtime, because this would mean obviously you've got to go back to site and identify which buckets are yours. So when you colour code, you can quickly identify which ones are yours and you're not having to go back and forth from sites trying to find your buckets. This downtime obviously costs you time and money. The top 4 options we're going to go over in this video are either if you colour code the whole bucket, or some people also just spray the hangers. So all 4 options apply to both ways of colour coding. So what are the best ways that some of our customers have come up with to colour code their buckets? So the first option we've come up with is colour coding by ton range. So for example, you could colour code your micro buckets red, your 1.5 ton buckets yellow, and your 2.5–3 ton buckets black. Colour coding by machine size is really helpful when you've got a larger fleet of excavators where you've got varying sizes of machines, because obviously you've got a large quantity of buckets and you need to define which buckets go on which machines quickly. One of our very best customers, Wickham Diggers, they paint their 1.5 ton buckets black, their 2.5–3 ton buckets yellow, and then 5 ton buckets blue. Colour coding your buckets by ton range allows you to organise and see which buckets and attachments relate to which ton range of machine. For example, like Wickham Diggers, they can have a quick glance out at the yard and they can see exactly what buckets they have in for what machines. So very nice and simple. The second option for colour coding is actually by doing it per make and model. This probably would apply more to smaller plant hire companies where they've got a mixture of makes and models and machines. So for example, you could paint your micro buckets for a Bobcat E10 yellow, and for a 1.5 ton Kubota you can paint them blue. By colour coding by make and model, it gets it down a bit more refined to what machine that set of buckets goes with. So you can actually look at it and say, okay, that set of buckets is for example, a Bobcat E10. We've all heard of the expression time equals money. So colour coding your buckets in this way would keep your organising time down to a minimum. The third option for colour coding is colour coding your buckets against your branding. So if you're very passionate about your brand and having everything matching up with the colour of your branding, you could go for painting all your buckets the same colour as your branding. So there's a few larger companies out there that do this. There's a company called Plant Force, C3 Construction, Bethel Civils and Utilities. They all colour code their buckets to the colours of their branding, which gives it a good brand image. When you colour code to your company branding, this gives a level of professionalism and pride in your work, and shows your customers that you give the highest quality product and service. The fourth and final option for colour coding is to actually match the colour of the excavator. So we probably see this a bit more in terms of owner-operators or one-man bands who like to keep a layer of finesse, professionalism to their work, where they've got the colour of the buckets lining up the colour of the machine. So we recently did a set of orange buckets to go on a Kubota, which matched up with the colour of the machine. So if you were to colour code your buckets the same colour as your excavator, it makes it look like more of a complete package, and also gives the impression of you having a bit more pride in your work. So there you have it. A few different ways that you can colour code your buckets on your fleet. And if you'd like to know a bit more about pricing on colour coding, please get in touch, because we'd be happy to help. And don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. But if you'd like to know more.